Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Thomas Smithyman. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in social anxiety. So thanks for coming to watch this video. Today I wanted to talk about small talk. So either what's the point of small talk? Really, for people who say I don't like small talk, or I'm afraid of small talk, or I don't know how to do small talk. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the topic. We'll say initially, if you're afraid of small talk, then you really want to reduce your anxiety by doing some exposure. Exposure means if you're afraid of it, you need to do it more often. You're probably avoiding doing it, so you need to go and make small talk in small ways more often. And you'll get to see that whatever the feared outcomes you have about it, maybe that people will have these really bad reactions, you get to see, actually no, they seem to respond fine, it goes fine, occasionally it's fun. Do that multiple times and your anxiety will start to come down. So that's just a common principle. We'll come back to that again and again and again. If you're afraid of something, you want to actually move towards it rather than away from it. In part because you want your emotional brain to understand that it's not as dangerous as it imagines. So do it a bunch of times. That becomes pretty clear, the lack of terrible results, and so you start to become less and less afraid of it. So the other things, they're not liking it and not knowing how to do it. Let's get into that as well. I'm also maybe a little different from a lot of psychologists who treat social anxiety, because I think it's pretty important to focus on some very particular kind of social skills in particular ways, because I think it's important. A lot of people don't actually have the frameworks of the fundamentals within social skills, and especially if you're anxious, stuff that might come naturally when you're nice and calm. I do find that once you're anxious, all that knowledge is gone and you sort of stuck and have no idea what to do. It's really useful to have some simple guidelines that you can go to where you can really tell yourself what to do when you're in that state of high anxiety. So that's why I build in a lot more kind of simple social skills than a lot of people. So small talk, it's a really important one. I hear this complaint a lot, either not knowing how to do small talk or not enjoying it. My belief is probably the expectations of what you must do are too high, or you're expecting yourself to perform too well, or basically it's a lot simpler and easier than people seem to think it is. Like everything, I want you to have some social cognition. I want you to understand, as well as just me telling you what to do. I want you to understand why small talk exists, because that's really a useful framework to help guide you. So basically, small talk exists to ease everybody's social anxiety, which is good news. Basically, when we start to interact with people, we're just built to be more anxious and more wary of them. And so small talk is this way of where you stay on really kind of surface things. It's not risky. You're talking about kind of neutral surface things. And it gives people a chance to interact a little while, like exposure, to get kind of used to each other. And within that is this idea of showing, oh look, this person is doing the same small talk thing that I'm doing. They're following the rules. They seem safe. I guess I can ease up a little bit with this person. That's the whole point of small talk. So when you're doing small talk, people tell me, I don't like doing it. Well, maybe you're not doing it for you as much as you're doing it to help the other person. By doing some small talk, you're making them feel more comfortable and safe around you. And my guess is you'll probably feel more safe around them too. If you try to skip small talk because you don't enjoy it, you basically will make other people uncomfortable. And if you decide you don't like it or you're too afraid of it and you avoid it entirely, then you basically can't have connections with people, because it's one of those kind of basic steps you have to go through. People have to do the small talk to get more comfortable and move on to deeper things. If you try to skip this, people won't like it, yeah. And if you conversations in general move from more surface level to deeper, from less to more intimate, so you have to go through that process for the most part. Okay, so we now know kind of what the point of small talk is. Let's talk about kind of how to do it, some of the structure of it. In general, like all things that I recommend, go for the simplicity principle. Simpler is better. That turns out to be true across so much of socializing. So keep it simple. When it comes to small talk, you're going to be on a particular topic, surface level topic. We want you to be curious. So ask questions, be curious about the other person's experience, and then self-disclose and share your own. Those are basic methods of connection. You need to do those. Be warm, and generally kind of keep things positive. People will sometimes take it negative themselves, in which case that's fine. You can go with them. But in general, stay warm, stay positive, stay kind of surfacey at first. Since small talk exists to make people feel more comfortable and less socially anxious, topics tend to be things you have in common. Things that you and that person have in common. This is why everyone talks about the weather all the time, because by virtue of being in the same area at the same time, you've got that in common. So topics tend to be things you have in common. It gives you that way of starting to feel comfortable with each other. So, weather's a common one, or like sport, because in certain areas people will all be into the same sport stuff. Or like national holidays, like we just had New Year's, and we just had like holiday stuff in America. So those are things you have in common. Other things in common might be just in the surrounding environment. So you and somebody else are in the same place at the same time. So a small talk initiation could be around, this line is long. Both in the same line, this line is long. Or this band is good. Or this class is hard. These are all things you have in common. Again, makes people feel more comfortable around you. It's also very easy if you start with those things, and I would encourage you to do this. It's easy to start with that commonality surface stuff, but it's easy to pretty quickly go from talking about these external things to talking about your thoughts, your opinions, your experiences, and then the other person will tell you about theirs. And now it's becoming connecting one-to-one rather than connecting about this commonality in the environment. You share your opinions about it or your experiences about it. And then that gets you out of small talk into kind of medium talk where more connection happens. An example might be, I think weather's probably the easiest, simplest one. So you would comment on the commonality around you, the weather, about how it is today or how it's been. Right now it's beautiful here, but I know that other places it's pretty cold and dark. My sister's in England, very cold and dark. So the way this conversation might go then is you bring it up, they comment about it, maybe you give your reaction, they give their reaction. You discuss whether you like it, you find out whether they like it. People like all kinds of different weather, strangely enough. And then oftentimes that might take you to, I like this kind of weather, but before I was in a place that had this kind of weather. Or even, my sister's in this place with this kind of weather, and then they might share their own experiences, and it takes you down a path. Like all of a sudden we're on a different country as a topic. So don't control where it goes. Really want to stay away from that. We're just discovering where it goes. The topic comes up, be curious about them, self-disclose about you, and just kind of see where it goes. I think you find if you keep it simple like that, self-disclosure won't be so hard. Go out and practice it. It could end up being fun, and you end up getting into medium stuff pretty quickly. Okay, I hope you appreciated this. Hope you liked it. Hope it was useful to you. Please subscribe. I'll have new videos coming out each week. Okay, thanks.